it's Ash from Super Videos back for another promo breakdown for Fear the Walking Dead. Now before we jump into this, just quickly about last episode, I think it was another okay episode, just like I said in my reaction. First episode was better than the second episode, I think, but hopefully coming up episode 3 and going forward we will have better episodes. I think up to this point, these 2 episodes, the first episode I enjoyed it a little bit more than the second episode, but both episodes were still extremely slow, and I think they could do a lot more with the story than what they're doing right now. But with that said, let's jump right into this breakdown. First, we have this shot of Alicia talking to Luciana. They are in a car. Luciana says, "There is words and there's actions. We took action." Now that's a very interesting dialogue. I'm not sure what it's related to. I don't think they did anything necessarily in the last episode that goes back to what Luciana is saying. So because of that, I'm leaning more towards what Luciana is saying, having something to do with what they're going to take action on in the next episode. So it seems like they're going to do something questionable in the next episode that might kind of feel like they're crossing boundaries or lines. Then we have this shot of this sort of western town. There's obviously a sandstorm that's coming up and everything that we see here. But later on, we will see John and June in the same exact town. Not exactly sure why they go there or what they're looking for, but it's an interesting kind of setting. Then we have this shot of someone holding a bag, walking through, as we have the titles card in the background. Now, I'm going to make a bold prediction and say this is Dwight. I mean, it only makes sense. Why wouldn't they show us who it is if it's someone that we know? So I'm leaning more towards this being Dwight just because they're keeping his identity a mystery. Now, this character I think will come up later as well in this promo, but I'll point him out when we get there. Then we have this shot of June and John, and it seems like they're facing another roadblock. John says, "How do we know without finding out?" I'm thinking what they're talking about is how far do they have to go, or how long can they survive without them knowing who's around, who's watching them, who is basically at every corner. So I think this is related to that, and I think that this roadblock was also done by the same person that did the other roadblocks and the same exact person that came and put the warnings there. So if you remember in the last episode, someone came in as Luciana was trapped in the building and killed the walkers and hung the heads. And obviously that was a way to warn them about something. Now, I originally thought that that was Logan's group, but it seems like Logan's group is going to be separate from whichever group this group is from that's going to come into play later, and they're the ones that's basically warning them and threatening them. Dwight might have something to do with this group, or he might actually be the person that's doing this, but at this point it's unlikely that this is related to Logan's group whatsoever. Then we have this shot of June and John looking inside the house. Now I think this is from the same exact western town that we saw earlier. Then we have another shot of June and John. John says, "Our chances of finding out are getting less and less." This goes back to them talking about how far or how long do they have to go without finding out. Then we have this shot of this walker, Alicia killing the walker. In the background, Luciana says, "We're getting closer." If you remember in the last episode when they saw the heads, they said, "It seems like we're getting close to something. We're getting closer and closer." So this goes back to what Luciana's saying. Then we have this shot of Luciana and Alicia. Luciana is looking at a map, as we see here, and she has circled or put X's wherever the roadblocks were that they found. And Luciana in the background says, "The roadblocks are starting to form a perimeter." So that goes back to them getting close to something. So it seems like they are pinpointing exactly which group is responsible for these roadblocks. This shot of Morgan saying, "I'm coming." And then this shot of him killing a walker. And this shot of some walkers. Now this is the same exact sandstorm that I talked about. So I think this is the exact same western town that we just saw. June says, "What is this place?" Goes back to the location, the western town. It's going to be interesting to see what that's all about and, who's going to be there. This shot of June in the same exact town. And then this shot of John. Now someone points a gun at his head. Like I said before, this is the same exact guy that we saw and he had that red bag. I think this is the same exact guy, and I think this is Dwight. It only makes sense for this character to be Dwight here. It's very likely at this point because the images that they released for episode 3, one of them had Dwight. So I think it's safe to assume at this point that this is Dwight and that Dwight is going to be coming in the next episode. We have this shot of, I think, JOAN and June inside this car. This shot of Morgan saying, "JOAN, you copy," so he's trying to communicate with JOAN. This shot of Luciana holding the walkie-talkie. This shot of JOAN basically hiding behind the car as a shield, and he says, "Hold your fire." So it seems like there's going to be some sort of gunfight going on. I'm not sure if this is between them and Dwight and maybe his group or something entirely different. Then we have this shot which is connected. Some people shooting at JOAN and June's car. Then we have this shot of, I think, June holding this gun. Then this shot of some walkers, and that's basically the end. We see the title card at the end, and this is the same exact western town that we see repeatedly in this promo. But that's basically this promo breakdown. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will see you next time for another super video. If you like what you see, press like, subscribe for more content, and press the bell button to receive notifications for daily uploads.